Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central, bringing you our PRISM Stride deck profile. It's kind of a mix between Prisms and Harmony, so we'll get right into it. The starter is Akari. This is because there's not really like anything else that's better in my opinion. There's the PRISM starter that bounces when you bounce something else, but that's really only useful for Labrador's skill, and it's not useful for the rest of the deck. So this is going to help you get pluses, get your on-call skill, on-bounce skills, without having to worry about losing a card. There's also Weddle, I think, does the same thing, but it's not Generation Break restricted, but you're not drawing a card off of it, which is why I don't run it, because you're kind of minusing one card to get some bounce skills. It's not really worth it in my opinion. Stride Zone is pretty simple. It's for Labrador because it's nuts. It's a first stride. It gives plus 5k to 2 of your rear guards and enables a lot of your bouncy shenanigan combos. It's pretty insane being able to have a power play that strong on the first stride. And to follow it up, we have 4 Olivia. So your opponent's not going to really be able to escape the power plays for about 4 turns. So pretty crazy. Gonna get at least, around, if you have the right setup, you get around 5 attacks with Labrador, and like 6 to 7 attacks with Olivia. It's just pretty insane how many attacks you can get off with this deck.
Where are the legs?
For grade 3s, we're running 4 Labrador. Really good alternative to striding. Just because of the limit break, getting that crit pressure definitely helps, especially in matchups like Angel Feather, where they're just healing all the time. You're like, stop healing, I'm gonna crit you. I do tend to not ride her. I do prefer to ride Vert first, just because if I can keep Labrador in my hands, then that gives me a break ride turn, which is a good mix-up from striding, rather than going for those multi-attack plays. If you know they don't have a PG, you just go for like a 31k double crit attack. Can really catch people off guard and gives you some power plays when you don't stride, or somehow your opponent lives through all your just nut strides. So that's pretty much for the grade 3s. Which one you ride, very situational. If you're getting rushed, you can go for Vert, or if you're getting rushed, you can go for Labrador to get the crit off. Depends on how you feel like playing. For grade 2s, Queen of the early game, or Princess of the early game, Prison Promise Celtic, gonna provide intense on-hit pressure on the Vanguard, letting you gain cards when you hit, as well as you can sometimes just like, I've gotten games where I draw like 3 of them and I'm like, ha ha ha, I'm gonna get free cards no matter what you do. Very good card. Not quite as good as Sword Meat, but I like to compare it to her because she needs a Prism Counterblast, and she gets you free cards. Well, not free cards, but you get cards off of her early game. MVP of the deck is Pikachu. The skill allows for just insane multi-attack plays, because you can bounce one, call another one, or like you can attack unboosted, then you can bounce whatever you attacked with, call another Spica in front of it, use that boost, and get more attacks off that way. Just pretty insane plays that you can do with her, getting up to 6 or 7 attacks pretty consistently. The last grade 2 we run is Rika. I run Rika because when you bounce her, you unflip one and you soul charge one. So that's going to set up your soul for soul blasting cards, which you get to reuse because of all the bouncing effects. And it also just is really good with Princess Celtic early, especially if they're at grade 1. You can call her, swing Vanguard here, and then you swing Celtic, and if they can't guard it, you bounce Rika, draw that card from Celtic, and then you get to unflip the counterblast you just used. And that can really make your grade 2 game, keywords, right? Grade 2 game can be really strong because you get to unflip that prism you use, so you don't necessarily need to worry about taking damage to repeatedly apply pressure with Celtic. For the grade 1s, we have 4 Prism Perfect cards. This deck has so many unflipping options, you don't really need the unflipping guys, as well as having the Prism name is important for that Celtic play early. The Prism name isn't really important other than Celtic. Sometimes it can be useful if you want to get Labradors off. Use her non-limit break skill to set up her limit break. So Prism name can be important, but it's mainly actually it is mainly for the Prism name and because we don't really need the unflips. Probably MVP of the grade 1 lineup, we have Princess Late. She's basically the same as Rika, except she gives whatever another unit +4 when she's bounced. So basically we're running 7 unflippers when you bounce them, which is going to keep all our counterblast costs really low, and you just get to spam Spica just all the time, and you never really relent on your opponent, which is what the deck is all about. Multi-attacks until you crush your opponent. We have 3 Stride Fodders. Because the deck is Stride reliant, you want to be striding a lot, well, every turn that you can, because every single stride play is a pressure play and can really push your opponent up to high damage. But we only need 3 because sometimes we don't need to stride, and we only have 4 strides, so to speak. We have Labrador, which unflips herself, Labrador unflips herself, Olivia unflips herself, Olivia unflips herself, right? So we only have 4 times we're actually striding. So we only need 3. Don't need to clog our deck with extra stride fodders. The last grade 1 we're running is Ural, which is a Soul Blast 2 draw. And if you notice, we have the Lates, Unflip and Soul Charge, Rika's Unflip and Soul Charge. So while you're abusing all that counterblast use with Spica and unflipping it with Rika's and Lates, you're going to be accumulating a lot of Soul, which you can convert into cards with Ural. One of my favorite things to do, or not to do, but my favorite thing that when it happens is you have Celtic, and you get either a late or a princess bounce early. Then when you get to your stride turn, you have Akari, and then, right, so you're going to have the one you soul charge, you're going to have your grade 1 and your grade 2. So you call Earl, you bounce, Soul Blast out your grade 1 and your grade 2, then you can use Akari's skill, put it into the soul, bounce Earl, get that 4th soul, and call it again to get just really good pluses off that first stride, which are going to set you up for going for the power plays with Spica, which you either have in your hand or you hopefully draw into. For the triggers, we have 4 Laris crits, which is pretty irrelevant. It's just shiny. Ooh, bling. We have 4 Prism crits. Again, the Prism name's super important for getting that early game on. If you don't have it, then Celtic's kind of useless. We have 4 Prism draws. I debated going between 12 crit and taking these draws out because the deck is so aggressive. Having 12 crit can push your opponent even harder and pressure them even more. But I think that having the Prism name is really important because without getting those Prisms and the damage, you're not going to have a grade 2 game. If your opponent grade locks against you, you're kind of in a really, you're in a really bad position if you can't get Celtic off. You're forced to go to grade 3, and then they'll get their power plays off before you do. And one of the main goals with it that I did, or that I tried to have when building this deck, is your first stride should be able to demolish your opponent to the point where they can't really do much back at you. So that's why I want that Prism, so I can play that grade 2 game, and then force them to let me stride first, and then I'm just going to pressure them really hard. Also, I really like the draws. It is a combo-based deck. You need to have the right setup. Draws add that little bit of extra consistency to get the setup right. And lastly, 4 Prism heals. Again, Prism name, heals are good. I hope you guys liked our Prism mixed with Harmony deck profile. It's definitely one of my favorite decks. Spoiler alert, probably the deck I'm going to be taking to regionals, so don't screen peek or whatever you guys call it for regionals if you play against me.
Nope. Nope.
As always, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to comment if you have any questions, any thoughts about the deck. Give us a like, it helps out a ton. And subscribe for more content. Vanguard Central, out.